Most people think that getting what you want is about being a brilliant debater. They think you have to present your case with overwhelming logic, crush all opposing arguments, and force the other person into submission through sheer intellectual firepower. But if you've ever tried that, you know it almost never works. People dig in their heels. Their ego gets involved. They'd rather be wrong than admit you were right. The problem is that you're playing the wrong game. You're trying to win an argument when you should be designing a choice. You see, the most powerful people don't win arguments. They make them irrelevant. They understand a fundamental secret about human nature. People love choosing exactly what you want them to choose. They just need to feel like it was their idea all along. Think of a menu at a fancy restaurant. It's not just a list of food, is it? It's a carefully crafted document. The expensive steak is in a special box. The description uses words like succulent, pan-seared, and locally sourced. The pasta dish next to it is priced just a little bit awkwardly, making the steak seem like a better value. The chef isn't forcing you to order the steak. He's simply making it the most appealing, logical, and satisfying choice on the page. You feel smart for choosing it. You feel like you found the best deal. You chose it, and you're happy. And the restaurant just sold its highest margin item. Small shifts, big outcomes. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to become the chefs of choice. I'm going to give you the 3 core recipes that choice architects use to get people to happily, enthusiastically pick the very thing you wanted from the start. The first, and perhaps the most elegantly simple technique, is what I call the binary bind. The human brain is lazy. It's an energy conservation machine. It hates complexity and loves shortcuts. When you present someone with an open-ended question like, "Where do you want to go?" you're giving their brain work to do. They have to scan their entire mental database of restaurants, consider traffic, price, cuisine, and then formulate a suggestion. It's exhausting. But when you present them with a closed, binary choice, you do all the heavy lifting for them. Their brain only has to do one simple thing: pick A or B. The secret is to make sure both A and B lead to your desired outcome. Let's say you want to ask someone out, but you're afraid of the flat-out rejection of, "Do you want to go out with me?" It's a yes or no question. It gives them an easy out. Instead, you frame the choice around the logistics. Assuming the yes has already happened, you ask, "Hey, I'd love to take you out sometime. Are you more of a coffee in the afternoon person or a drinks in the evening person?" Look at what just happened. Their brain isn't debating if they want to go out with you. It's debating which scenario sounds more fun. They're imagining the cozy coffee shop. They're picturing the cool, dimly lit bar. While they're busy choosing their preferred adventure, they're implicitly agreeing to the adventure itself. You already agreed. You just didn't notice. In a business meeting, instead of asking, "What do you all think?" which invites a storm of unstructured criticism, you ask, "Should we focus on implementing the marketing phase or the product development side?" You've taken agreement for granted. The debate is no longer if we do the proposal, but how we do it. A parent trying to get a child to eat their vegetables doesn't ask, "Will you eat your broccoli?" The answer is always no. A smart parent asks, "Do you want to have your broccoli first or your carrots?" The choice isn't between eating vegetables and not eating them. The choice is about the order in which they will be eaten. The child feels a sense of control. The binary bind works by shifting the focus from if to how or when. You present 2 options that both presuppose the outcome you desire. They feel respected because you asked for their input. They feel powerful because they made the final call. And you walk away with the meeting scheduled, the date planned. Now, the second technique is a bit more mischievous. It's where we graduate from simple framing to actively sculpting the options. This is called the decoy effect, or asymmetric dominance. The principle is this: it's hard for people to evaluate an option in a vacuum. Is a $5 coffee expensive? Compared to what? A coffee at home? A fancy cocktail? But when you introduce a third option, a decoy, you can make one of the other options look spectacular by comparison. The decoy's only job is to be clearly inferior. The most famous example comes from a study on subscriptions to The Economist. People were given 2 choices: a web-only subscription for $59 or a print and web subscription for $125. But then the researchers introduced a third option, a decoy. The new choices were web-only for $59, print-only for $125, or print and web for $125. Now look at that. Who in their right mind would choose the print-only option for $125 when you can get print and web for the exact same price? Nobody. Suddenly, the print and web option didn't look expensive anymore. It looked like an incredible bargain. You're getting the web subscription valued at $59 for free. The number of people choosing the $125 print and web package skyrocketed. The decoy made the target option irresistible. So how do you use this in real life? Let's say You're a freelance designer pitching a project. You want them to choose your preferred pro package for $3,000. You could just offer that and a basic package for $2,000. But now let's introduce a decoy. You offer 3 packages: the basic package, the pro package, and now the decoy, the basic plus package for $2,800. The basic plus for $2,800 is obviously a bad deal compared to the pro package. For just $200 more, you get the source files too. The decoy makes the pro package look smart. The client feels like they're getting amazing value. They feel like they've cleverly spotted the best deal on the menu. People love choosing exactly what you want them to choose, especially when they think they've outsmarted the system. Small shifts, big outcomes. You can do this with time too. I can get this done for you by Friday. Or I could rush it and get it to you by Wednesday, but it would be lower quality. However, if we start now, I can get you the full quality version by Thursday. Friday's too far. Wednesday is poor quality. Thursday suddenly feels like the perfect, efficient, and logical choice. It was the choice you wanted them to make all along. The third and final piece of our framework is about wrapping your chosen option in the right emotional language. This is the power of the positive frame and its dark twin, loss aversion. Behavioral psychologists have proven that the pain of losing something is about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining the exact same thing. Losing $20 feels much worse. The technique is simple. You frame your preferred option in terms of what the person will gain. You frame the alternative option in terms of what they will lose. Imagine you're trying to convince your team to adopt a new piece of software. You could say, if we adopt this new software, we will increase our efficiency by 15%. Now let's use loss aversion. You could say, every week we continue to use our old software, we are losing a full day's worth of productivity compared to our competitors. Do you feel the difference? The first one is a nice to have. The second one is an urgent problem that needs to be solved immediately. The fear of being left behind is a much stronger motivator. This is everywhere in marketing. A tub of yogurt doesn't say contains 10% fat. It says 90% fat-free. A medical procedure's success rate is highlighted as 95% of patients experience a full recovery, not 5% of patients experience complications. Same data, completely different feeling. It's not manipulation, it's framing. Let's say you're negotiating a salary. Your potential boss says they can't meet your desired number. Instead of arguing, you reframe the conversation around loss. I'm just thinking about the unique combination of marketing and sales experience I bring. I worry that if we can't make this work, you might have to hire 2 separate people. You're not being aggressive. You're being helpful. You're pointing out a potential loss they might incur. You're on their side, helping them avoid a bad outcome. So, to recap, first, the binary bind to change if to how. Second, the decoy effect to make your option look smartest. And third, positive framing and loss aversion. Now, a lot of people see these techniques and immediately think of the classic examples from pop culture. And there's one that stands above all the rest: Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. A lesser person would have argued, these droids aren't the property of the Empire. They would have tried to use logic. But Obi-Wan is a chess player. He doesn't play their game. He looks the stormtrooper in the eye and says with complete calm, these aren't the droids you're looking for. This is not a debate. It's a statement of fact. He is reframing their reality. He then immediately gives the trooper a simple, easy path forward, a binary choice. 1. Challenge this strange, confident old man. Or 2. Accept his simple statement and let them pass. He follows it up with, he can go about his business. Move along. He's not giving an order. He's giving a suggestion. He is designing the easiest possible choice for the trooper to make. Now, let's put all 3 of our techniques together. Imagine you're a consultant trying to sell a project. Your goal is to get them to sign up for your mid-tier growth package. You don't start by asking, so would you like to hire me? Instead, you start with a binary bind. You say, we have 2 main paths forward, a conservative approach or a comprehensive approach. Now that they've agreed to the growth frame, you introduce your packages, but you do it with a decoy. The starter package for $4,000. Then we have the growth package for $7,000. We also have a Diagnostics Plus package for $6,500, which includes the diagnostics and the implementation strategy, but not the support. The Diagnostics Plus is your decoy. For only $500 more, they can get the growth package, which adds 3 whole months of support. It's an incredible value. The decoy makes the growth package look like a brilliant deal. Finally, you seal the deal with framing. I really think the growth package is the right fit. It means you gain total peace of mind for the next quarter. Honestly, my only concern is that you'd miss out on the crucial support. I'd hate to see you lose momentum. You frame the alternative as a potential loss of momentum. You've made their decision for them, but you've done it in a way that makes them feel intelligent, prudent, and in complete control. They will choose the growth package. The line between influence and manipulation is intent. Are you using these tools to trick someone or to guide someone toward the choice that is genuinely in their best interest? You are a curator of choices, an architect of decisions. Your job is to help people see the value that is already there. The best manipulation feels like a choice because, in the end, it still is. It's just a very, very well-designed one. Now, you have a choice. You can click away from this video and probably forget most of what you just learned. Or you can subscribe and join us, and I guarantee you will never look at a simple question the same way again. The choice is yours, of course, but I think we both know which one is the smarter move. See you in the next one.